The repair bay hummed with the sound of failing power converters as Lucas worked beneath the sleek alien vessel. Its hull gleamed like polished obsidian, covered in symbols he couldn't read, but somehow understood through the translation implant the diplomatic corps had given him 3 years ago. He wiped grease from his forehead and adjusted his position on the rolling dolly, reaching deeper into the engine compartment, where human hands could fit, but the elegant fingers of the ship's crew could not. The Valkorian Empire had arrived on Earth 6 months prior, not with weapons or demands, but with trade agreements and technology exchanges. Their ships were marvels of engineering, powered by quantum cores that bent the fabric of space itself. But even the most advanced technology needed maintenance, and the Valkorians had quickly discovered that human mechanics possessed an intuitive understanding of machinery that complemented their own more theoretical knowledge. Lucas had been assigned to the diplomatic station orbiting Mars, one of 50 human technicians working alongside alien engineers. He had expected the work to be challenging. He had not expected her. Queen Valera stood at the edge of the repair platform, her silver robes flowing despite the absence of wind in the pressurized bay. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with skin that shifted between deep purple and midnight blue depending on the light. Her eyes were larger than human eyes, multifaceted like gems, and they tracked his every movement with an intensity that made his hands tremble the first dozen times she watched him work. She came every day now, always alone, without her guards or advisors, always silent, observing. Lucas found the damaged coupling and whistled low. The quantum resonator had cracked, probably from pushing the engines too hard during their last jump. He pulled himself out from under the ship and stood, grabbing his diagnostic tablet. "The fracture extends through the primary manifold," he said, more to himself than to her. "I can seal it, but you'll need a full replacement within the next 100 flight hours, or the whole system will." "Cascade, you speak as though you understand technology that your species discovered only months ago." Her voice was melodic, layered with harmonics that made his chest vibrate. Lucas shrugged. "Engines are engines. Doesn't matter if they run on combustion or quantum mechanics. They all have the same basic principles. Energy in, energy out, and everything in between that can break." He climbed the ladder to access the upper engine housing, aware of her gaze following him. His toolkit clinked against the rungs. "Your people are remarkable," she said. "We have visited 47 species across 12 systems. None have adapted to our technology so quickly." Lucas began the delicate process of applying the molecular sealant. "Maybe we're just good at fixing broken things. We've had a lot of practice breaking our own stuff." "Is that what you think you're doing? Fixing broken things?" The question made him pause. He looked down at her, backlit by the bay's harsh lights, and something in her expression was different. Vulnerable somehow. "That's the job," he said carefully. She moved closer to the ladder, tilting her head in a gesture he'd learned meant curiosity among her people. "Do you know why I come here each day, Lucas of Earth?" His name sounded strange in her mouth, the syllables drawn out like music. "I figured you wanted to make sure I wasn't sabotaging your ship. I come because you are the first being in 300 cycles who has looked at me and seen something other than a crown." Lucas descended the ladder slowly, his toolkit suddenly feeling very heavy. When he reached the bottom, they stood less than a meter apart. Up close, he could see the patterns in her skin, constellations that seemed to shimmer and shift. "I see someone who pushes her engines too hard," he said quietly. "Someone who flies fast enough to crack quantum couplings. Someone who's running from something, maybe." Her eyes widened slightly. "You perceive more than most. I'm a mechanic. I notice when things don't work the way they should." She reached out, her hand hovering near his face without quite touching. My father ruled the Valkorian Empire for 800 years. When he died, I inherited not just a throne, but expectations carved from stone and tradition. Every word I speak is measured. Every action is observed. Every choice I make must serve the Empire first. Lucas found himself holding his breath. But here, in this repair bay, when I watch you work, I am not a queen. I am simply Valera, watching someone who fixes things because he cares whether they work, not because of duty or honor or obligation. Valera, he repeated, testing the name without her title. She lowered her hand. There is a custom among my people. When one of royal blood encounters someone who sees their true self, who looks beyond the crown in the ceremony, they may offer a bond. It is rare. Most royals live their entire lives without finding such a person. Lucas's heart hammered against his ribs. What kind of bond? The closest word in your language would be marriage, though it encompasses more. A joining not just of lives, but of purposes. A partnership that transcends political alliance. He should have laughed. He should have explained that he was just a mechanic from Denver who'd gotten lucky on the diplomatic corps exam. He should have listed 1,000 reasons why a human grease monkey and an alien queen made no sense. Instead, he heard himself ask, "Why me?" Because you are kind without expectation of reward. Because you see beauty in function and purpose in repair. Because when you look at me, you do not see something to use or fear or worship. You see someone who needs help fixing her ship. She paused, and something like hope flickered across her features. And perhaps because I have watched you work for 40 days, and each day I have found myself inventing new reasons to visit this bay. Lucas laughed, surprising himself. I thought you came to make sure I wasn't breaking anything. I came because seeing you reminds me that not everything in the universe is broken beyond repair. The weight of her words settled between them. Somewhere in the station, a shift was changing. Soon, other mechanics would arrive, and she would become Queen Valera again, surrounded by protocol and duty. If I said yes, Lucas began slowly, what would that mean? For you, for your empire, for Earth? It would mean political complexity beyond measure. My advisors would object. Your government would panic. There would be negotiations and treaties and arguments that could last years. She moved closer, and now her hand did touch his face, cool and gentle. But it would also mean that I could come to this repair bay not as a duty, but as a home. That I would have someone who understands that even queens need someone who sees them, truly sees them, beyond the crown. Lucas covered her hand with his own. Her skin felt like silk over steel. I'm covered in grease, and I smell like coolant and hydraulic fluid. You smell like honest work, like purpose. Her multifaceted eyes caught the light. Marry me, human. Not because I am a queen, but because I am Valera, and you are Lucas. And somewhere between quantum couplings and engine manifolds, I have found something I did not know I was searching for. He should have asked for time to think. He should have consulted with the diplomatic corps, contacted Earth, prepared for the firestorm this would cause. He should have done 1,000 sensible things. Instead, he pulled her close, mindful of the grease on his clothes, and said, "On Earth, we have a tradition. When someone proposes, the other person is supposed to say yes or no. And your answer?" "Yes," he said simply. "But you're helping me finish fixing your ship first. Can't have a wedding on a vessel with cracked quantum couplings." She laughed then, a sound like crystal chimes, and in that moment she was not a queen and he was not a human mechanic. They were simply two people who had found each other across the vastness of space, in the unlikely setting of a repair bay, over the honest work of fixing broken things. Later, when the news spread through both human and Valkorian networks, when diplomats scrambled and advisors objected, and two species found themselves navigating uncharted territory, Lucas would remember this moment. The quiet before the storm, standing in the repair bay with grease on his hands and a queen in his arms, both of them choosing something simple and true over everything complicated and expected. But for now, there was still work to do. Together, they climbed the ladder to finish repairing the ship. And if anyone had been watching, they would have seen not a queen and a subject, not an alien and a human, but simply two people working side by side, fixing broken things and building something new.